Part of what you're referring to here is part of the philosophy or the approach of the leadership that I'm inviting people into is to be much more connected to their own life energy. And part of our life energy is it's like we're a fountain, and the water's coming out of the fountain, and we want to be a big, bright, powerful fountain that's like whatever we want to do, we want to do it with power and with beauty.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be a beautiful fountain if there's a lot of rocks on the fountain.
Yeah.
And when we're young, for example,
a lot of rocks
right,
over it. Yeah.
our parents are like, you're not beautiful when you're angry. Don't be a beautiful little girl, and
be cute.
Don't be angry, and don't be sad, because sad people, like, you're being a loser if you're sad.
Yeah.
Or if you're afraid, then you're like, don't be afraid, because it's bad to be afraid. And so we're putting rocks on the fountain that we are, of our energy coming up.
Yeah.
And so part of my approach is that all of these energies, in the energies underlying all of our emotions, can be used in constructive ways to make our life better and more connected, and to make ourselves more powerful. But we need to learn to use those energies, because as long as we don't know how to use the energies of people call them negative emotions, I call them unwanted emotions. When we learn to use the energies of the unwanted emotions, we can actually learn to use them to make ourselves more powerful and more effective, and have a greater positive impact.
One thing
in our
that
lives.
changed my life, my perspective of life, is like I am super like this kind of person. I'm not gonna be angry. No, I'm not gonna be mad. No, I'm not gonna lose my time on it. But the most like powerful thing I had experienced in the workshop was this, like, I can't be angry, but can be like 5% of my state. And so I feel super free to be angry now, because it's not like 100% of something. And I can super let myself feel feelings, even if they are 1%. And now they are 1%, then they are gone.
Right, and part of the work that you're referring to is also about the capacity to stay connected with our emotions. Because when I stay connected to my heart and to my energy when I'm angry, like, I don't forget, say I'm angry at you because you did something to me, but we're friends. I don't forget that I love you. I don't forget to stay connected to your heart and my heart. And so I can feel the anger in my body, like energy in my chest.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel very alive, and I'm appreciating how alive I feel. And I can make my boundary in that, like, usually when we're angry, often it's because someone stepped on our boundary, over our boundaries. So I can say, hey, I love you, and I'm still connected to your heart, but this wasn't okay for me. And so can we find a way for that not to happen anymore?
Yeah.
So I can be very assertive, but also very loving at the same time.
Yeah.
And so people are afraid of their anger when they don't understand that you can stay connected to your own heart and other people's heart and express the anger all at the same time.
Yeah, because they break up 100%. No?
Right.
Or they are mad, or they love you. So wow.
And they disconnect.
And they disconnect completely.
They disconnect from themselves and their values, and so then they do things that they're not proud of, and they disconnect from the other one, and then they can hurt the other one. When actually, the connected anger doesn't want to hurt. It's not trying to be aggressive or violent. It actually is just trying to protect itself.
Yeah. Can you tell me what is beauty for you? You cannot say me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Be more light the clinics, because we are going so deep in life. I'm getting a bit nervous. No.
Yeah, for sure, a key desired outcome of the work that I do is that people live in a more beautiful state. Like mostly often when we talk about beauty, people think about themselves as an object and try to be a beautiful object. There's so much more potential than that. If we can live in a beautiful state, for example, by learning to stop attacking ourselves, stop shaming ourselves, stop judging ourselves, then the animal that we are can relax and start to enjoy life a lot more, because it's living in a state of relaxation. It's not numb, like the animal that we are is not numb. When we're numb, we can't feel. can't feel ourselves, we can't feel other people, we can't feel the trees we're walking by. And so life is so much more rich and nourishing when we're able to relax and enjoy it. And so this is part of getting in a state where we experience life as beautiful, we experience life as good, we experience life as true, to refer to Plato a little bit. But there's a lot more to it than relaxing our nervous system. It's also learning to observe our mind and making more conscious choices about the metaphors that we choose to, the ways that we think, the metaphors that we choose to use to understand what's happening. Often they're quite aggressive and dead metaphors. Like even people in work, they're like, I banged that job out or something. It's like, and so by bringing more awareness to the ways that we think, we can open up our thinking and actually choose our thinking for the first time in our life. Because most of us, we just inherited thinking from the people around us. And so it's very unconscious actually. And so part of this path is something called self-authoring. So it's actually, if you are a book, then for most people, the book has mostly been written by other people. Although most people would argue with that, if we look deeply, you'll see probably mostly you haven't chosen who you are. You've been told who you are and then you act it out.
So the beauty for you, I would say, is be more awareness, to be more consciousness.
To be more conscious,
conscient of who you are. It's not just it, but a part of it.
Right. So, I mean, one saying that's coming to mind is, and it's only true if you make it true, is that life is poetry and you are a poet. But am I a good poet? And we need to learn to be good poets to make our life into good poetry. Or we need to learn to be good musicians to make our life into a good song. And most of us, we're not using very many notes in the song. Like we're, for example, stuck in rationality. I love rationality. I was an engineer. But staying, like if you go for a walk in the forest and you stay in your rational mind,
you don't tune.
Right, you don't attune to the forest, and you don't feel this magical feeling of being alive as part of nature and letting nature like penetrate you and go into your body. If you stay in rationality, it's kind of like you have a raincoat on and you're not letting the water in, you're not letting the feeling of nature soak into you. And it feels so nourishing and rich to let the feeling of nature soak into you. But part of being able to do that is you need to be able to get out of your rational mind and really immerse yourself in it. And it's actually exactly the same with you right now. Is that if I'm just stuck in rationality, I'm not enjoying the feeling of your presence. And then life's just less enjoyable.
A lot of things that we can learn and hear from you. And I think I need to extend my workshop because today wasn't enough. But can you give us like a tip of maybe a text or paper or something that inspires you? Like can be a book. Can be 2, 3.
Yeah. I mean, my work is coming from so many, it's an integration from so many different directions.
We can go like, I'm going to help you. We can go for beginners.
Right. Well,
intermediate state. And advanced state.
I mean, tell me if this doesn't work for you, but I'm going to give myself permission to answer kind of outside the boundaries of the question a little bit.
Of course.
Because the question presupposes that people, like books often are more mental learning, and what I was just saying before is a big part of my practice, and it's something that everyone can do, is how to learn what I'm teaching without going to my workshop, because I'm not trying to sell workshops. So one simple example is go walking in the forest and try to do your best to be in the experience of your body, and your mind will keep your mind will keep taking over your experience. Just gently keep coming back to the feeling of your body. And sometimes it takes an hour or two of walking in the forest. It's great, of course, for your body. It's great for your physical health. It's also great for your mental health. And it's slowly you can learn to get out of your rational mind and get into the feeling of being an animal in nature and seeing, I think, like us modern humans are very arrogant, at least I am. And we like for so long I thought people in the past, like we're smarter than them because we can build a space station and they couldn't, and we can build atomic weapons and they couldn't. But actually, part of like the way of being of humans 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, is I think they lived in such a magical, alive world. And part of why I know that is because spending hours walking in the forest, getting out of my rational mind, I just start to feel so alive and so inspired and so nourished. And life, like you just, I'm sure everyone's had this experience to some extent, like just looking at a tree and you see it has, it's insane how many leaves it has and so intricate it is, and it's so beautiful, and usually we just walk by it and we don't see it and we don't feel it. And so to learn to feel the presence of everything around us, and not just nature, but also even walking in a city can be fascinating if we get out of our rational mind and stop thinking the rational mind's better. It's very useful, but we're addicted to it, and it's degrading the level of beauty that we're experiencing in our life, because the rational mind is very like two-dimensional, and if you want to live in
other kinds of measure is better.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's better, but it's better to have both. It's better to go into rationality. It's better to be able to go out.
I got it. I am never right.
And
but that's okay. I'm learning. I'm here to learn, and that's okay. Let's accept it.
Right.
But now I'm better from the moment just a second behind. Okay.
What I love about your response there is like the humility, like when you say I'm never right, and this is part of being at a more mature stage of development, is that you're less threatened. Like you're not afraid to say you're wrong, and you're not trying to look like you're smart. You're actually in a constant state of learning and growth of your brain, actually. And people who are able to use everything to learn from and to be more curious, like it's more exciting when you're wrong than when you're right, because if you're right, you didn't learn anything. If you're wrong, you're like, oh wow, there's this new way of seeing reality that I was out of touch with, and so my brain's growing when I'm wrong, and I'm able to like surf, like surfing. People later stages of development are better surfers of all the waves of life.
Oh, it's good.
Right, and also the benefits of living life in a relaxed way that's able to learn from everything and constantly able to admit that you're wrong, because then you're constantly growing, and then that's who's going to become an old wise person, is someone who is not clinging on to what they know and using it to protect themselves from life and from learning.
Thank you so much.
With
all my energy and myself. And I hope that we can learn more in next workshops. I'll be there, and more chats. And we hope you are more around in Brazil. Thank you. Can I give you a hug? Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
And you all gonna be thank you also.
Yeah, and I hope that the people listening, I just hope that they got something that they can.
For sure, they got crazy first.
Yeah, I hope that you, who's listening to these words right now, feel somehow more connected to your heart or to your own life energy, and you're able to appreciate the hearts and the life energies of the people around you.
Amazing, grand final, I know. Thank you so much. Yes. Wow.